All right, y'all. So there is no such thing as two testaments, right? Y'all seen the video I did a while ago, and this is almost like a follow-up to the series of There Is One Covenant. But I want to talk to you about the difference between a covenant and a testament. A testament is, first of all, that is an English word, right? That the European has used to basically make the Bible include their doctrine, right? That is outside of what the actual Bible, what the actual Torah speaks of. Torah is going to point you to a covenant, right? So what is a testament, right? If you look up the definition of a testament is enacted after someone dies, right? It's almost like the will of, you know how like people have a will and whatever, somebody, they about to die and they want their children, they got 5 kids, they want one kid to have the house, the other kid to have the car, the other kid to have whatever, the business, and they separate their will, what their desire is when they die. That's what a testament is. The problem with viewing scripture in the form of a testament is the fact that Hamashiach resurrected. So he's living, right? And the purpose of Hamashiach, Yahusha, Messiah, was not to enact a testament. It was to ratify the covenant that the Most High Yahuwah went into with the house of Israel. It's a binding covenant. It's a marriage between Yah and the house of Israel. So saying all this to say, people who don't understand that a covenant is a binding agreement, right? I talked about this a while ago in the video I did on There Is One Covenant. It's the Hebrew word berit, right? Where two parties, right? They come into a agreement together and there is bloodshed to determine basically what will be done to the other party if they break the terms of this agreement. That's what a covenant is. So saying this to say, the covenant is what script is based off of. And not only is the covenant what the entire scriptures, the entire Torah, the entire word is based off of, there's so many principles in the Bible that you will misunderstand that are all connected to this covenant language that the Bible, all of the scriptures, all of the prophets, all of the words of Hamashiach, all of the words of the apostles in the, what y'all would call the New Testament, which is really the renewed covenant, speaks of. Everything Paul talks about, it all goes back to covenant language. So I'm saying this to say you have to get your mind off of testament and get your mind in covenant, right? Now, I want to say this too. The idea of, for example, a lot of the scriptures that are taken out of context are able to be taken out of context in the English because, for one, they're not in the original language that the Bible was actually written in, which is Hebrew thought. But two, because it's not from the perspective of Yah is speaking regarding his covenant. So let's take the idea of, love, right? Right? John 3:16. For Yah, I know the English says for God, but we know in the Hebrew, really, it's Yah loved the world. For Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, right? That whosoever believes in him will not perish, but will have everlasting life. Without understanding covenant, you think that really means the whole world. But the Hebrew brings it all into perspective. And not only does the Hebrew bring it into perspective, but the understanding of covenant brings it even that much more perspective, right? So again, that verse is, shout out to Dr. Mor Yoshiyahu Ben Israel Dawid, right? Who taught me a principle on this. But that verse begins with the word for. So in order to really even understand the context of that verse, you have to read the prior verses where Yahusha, Messiah, is talking to Nicodemus. And he's talking about specific things that pertain to the Torah, that pertain to the covenant Yah made with the house of Israel, the lifting up of the bronze serpent from what happened in the book of Numbers to our ancestors in the wilderness. Saying all this to say, if you don't understand that element of it and how it ties, it's directly connected to the covenant, then you will be lost in the sauce like the rest of the world, thinking John 3:16 is just some random verse that means that the Most High just loves everybody in the world, and he loves the world system the way that it is. He loves the wickedness that's in the world. He loves everything that is against his Torah in the world. That's absolutely insanity to think that. But people think that because they do not understand the context of covenant. They don't understand covenant language. And it's the same thing with the word love. For Yah so loved, right? Hebrew word ahav, ahav, right? The idea of, watch this, looking towards or providing for the house, pressing towards the house, being committed to the house. It's an action word. It's not a feeling word, right? But it's all based on covenant. Same thing with the idea of grace, right? People misinterpret grace. They think it's a license to sin. No, it's separation and protection. It's all going to take you back to the covenant. Salvation, all going to take you back to the covenant. We talked about that before. You know, the Hebrew word yasha, right? The destroyer that watches. Why? Because he's in covenant and he's protecting his covenant. He's destroying whatever is coming to attack who he is in covenant with. And that's what salvation is. That's what the book of Revelation mainly is about when Messiah returns. He's coming back to watch this, to judge the world, right? That not only crucified him, but that did his people wrong, right? The blood of the Kodesh, the saints that cries out to Yah. Come on, man. All of this is covenant language. All of it, right? Obedience, the purpose of Messiah. Why, and I have to do a whole separate video on that, on specifically why Messiah had to die. But guess what? It's all pertaining to the covenant. Yeah, that's why his blood had to be shed. That's why he had to suffer and die. Isaiah 53, right? He was wounded for our transgressions and bruised for our iniquity. And the chastisement of our peace was upon him. Who is our? Who is the our Isaiah is talking about in there? He's talking about the house of Israel, who Yah was in covenant with. Now, this is not me saying that people who are from other nations can't be grafted in. I've never taught that Gentiles or really the other nations can't be grafted in, because they absolutely can. But they have to understand this covenant. They have to cleave to this understanding of what covenant is. They have to understand what this is, right? So I'm passionate about this because I'm trying to tell you, man, the heathen got our people, got the world messed up. Got the world thinking that everything is sweet. Got the world thinking that everybody's going to get into the kingdom. And that is not what the actual Bible teaches. You have to understand covenant. You really want to understand this Bible, you have to understand covenant language. Shalom.